Greetings, Kindred. I am Voivode Maquette, and welcome back to our World of Darkness and Level by Level, where we are going through the different powers of animalism in this playlist. And today we are on the level 5 gift of drawing out the beast. One of the classic disciplines from Vampire the Masquerade. I remember the first time I saw this power being used and I went, the hell just happened? This is such an invasive power of animalism. And it's always been used on other vampires to make them frenzy in the worst possible times, to make them completely lose their composure in Elysium, to use in the battlefield where the target that you're fighting now doesn't have control and cannot use weapons because they're just an animal at this point. But what exactly does drawing out the beast mean in Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition? The vampire can project their beast at the moment of terror or fury frenzy, transferring it into a nearby subject, either mortal or vampire. That person immediately experiences the frenzy instead, going on a merciless rampage or fleeing in terror depending on the trigger. So, this is something that you can only use when you're ramped up. You have learned to take this and throw it at somebody else. And I think that is a very interesting ability, considering the fact that the beast is one of the #1 curses of a vampire. This is the Molotov cocktail of animalism. You are throwing it, and now there's a different problem. So consider that as we go on. The cost is 1 rouse check. The dice pool is wits plus animalism versus composure plus resolve. And the system states, instead of the willpower roll to resist terror or fury frenzy, roll wits plus animalism versus composure plus resolve of a target's. If the user fails, they enter frenzy as though they had failed the willpower roll. On a win, the target experiences that frenzy instead of the user. Later stimuli can still provoke frenzy in the user, but they can use this power as long as they can make a rouse check and further targets remain available. This power cannot transfer a hunger frenzy. That makes a lot of sense. I can understand exactly why that would be the case, because that's just a little bit more deeper into it. But the duration is the frenzy's duration. So in the core book, at least in mine, it says see page 220 for those rules. So being able to take your frenzy, your fear or your anger, and push it into another individual, either a human or a vampire, is such a very interesting ability. The fact that there are no rules to a difference between a human and a vampire when it comes to this thing is kind of interesting. The fact that a human is able to feel the terror or the rage of a frenzy without there being any other implications involved are pretty interesting. But I've also loved the fact that it is that simple. It works on the exact same manner of a vampire on a human. The fact that it just goes right in and does what it does. Now, again, this is a power that we have not gotten to yet in Thicker Than Water. I cannot wait to see until that actually happens. I've always used drawing out the beast in my Sabbat characters because it's so much fun to get yourself ramped up and ready to go in frenzy and then throw it on somebody else and watch them attack their own coterie. But I always played a really twisted Sabbat, and you can always tell exactly how things are going to go. Animalism is always my first go-to discipline when I play in a Sabbat game. So I am Voivode Maquette. This is our World of Darkness, and this has been an in-depth look, a read-through of the drawing out the beast power of animalism. And we are about to move on to our next power, which I cannot wait to get to. Class dismissed.